Welcome back to another episode of IR Reviews, and in this episode we are going to be covering Orange is the New Black Season 5. Now, I cannot talk about anything in this series, season, without having major spoilers for Season 4, and minor spoilers for pretty much everything else. So, if you're not caught up, at least to Season 5, you should probably leave now, and you probably should leave after, in a little bit, once we start getting to Season 5 spoilers. But this is your only spoiler warning for Season 4 and everything else that has come before Season 5. So, take them now, because, you're not going to be getting another one. Alright? Everyone gone? Everyone's here for Season 5 shit only? Season 4's aren't here anymore? Cool. Let's talk about this shit. So, all of Season 5 takes place in 4 days, which is not even 4 days. I think it's like 3.5 days, to be more specific. But it all takes place during a prison riot, which begins in Season 4. After Poussey, Washington was killed by C.O. Bailey, a riot breaks out. Now, the interesting thing about this riot is that everyone in this riot has very different reasons for starting this riot. Like, the Latinas have the fact that they just hate the fact that this facility is so goddamn shitty. You have the blacks with Poussey, you have the whites because you have really the whites and the way that the ones who initiate the riots, they kind of just want to kill. They kind of just want to run the prison because they're fucking insane. It really just becomes this like stirring pot of crazy to get this riot starting, and that's fine. Cool, whatever. So the riot kind of starts out, and everyone is quickly put into their place. You get a real good feel for how the rest of the season's going to go by watching the first episode. This is the first season where there's no argument that this is now an ensemble cast of a show. We're not really concerned with Piper most of the time. If anything, she's kind of just like off in her own little world with Alex for a good chunk of this season. But she is no longer the star of the show. If anything, I'd say that Tasty is the star of the show, or really anyone that isn't Piper. Like, Piper is not doing it anymore. You have Nichols and you have Crazy Eyes. You have Nichols and Crazy Eyes and all these side characters really taking more of a center stage in this season, which I'm not sure if I should have put Nichols in that category, but you know what I mean. All these characters that don't really get a lot of light really just get a lot of screen time in this season, and it's great. It finally feels like they wanted to kind of make it an ensemble cast for a while now, but now with this now with the riot, they have a reason to, because everyone is reacting to very different ways to this riot, and everyone has their own agendas for starting and being involved with this riot. You still kind of get the comedy of, we're in prison and we don't know really what's up about anything, but at the same time you get those more intelligent, for lack of a better way of saying it, intelligent jokes where you have the Nazi saying, why don't they look under the masks and before they just call me a terrorist. And when you have this character whose whole thing is, I am a neo-Nazi, fuck Muslims and fuck terrorism, saying, why don't they look under the masks why don't they look under the hijab to see if I actually am a terrorist? Thanks to a scene that kind of takes place there. Like, you have this really beautiful showings of irony that's just really funny, in my opinion. Also, maybe because like I'm a terrible person, like that's fine. You have a whole bunch of ironic things going on from I forget her name, but one of Tasty's bigger friend. She's like, yeah, I'll buy Judy King because why not? And how art is always a guaranteed investment, like it never goes out of style type thing. So you have these like really smaller jokes going on throughout the season, and I really enjoyed it. A big thing in this season is morality and who gets to say what is right and who gets to say what is wrong. Do the ends justify the means, or is everything just a shit show to begin with? And it's really interesting. And it's really interesting to kind of watch how these characters deal with the duality of how they had no power and now they have all of the power, and how they're going to handle that. You have characters like Frida who are preparing this like underground bunker, and they've decided they're just going to wait out this entire raid, and they're gonna be fine type deal. We find out what the fuck is up with Piscatella and why he's such a douchebag. We find out like all these other things, and it's an intense season. I didn't really think that there was any part in the season where it's like, oh, this is dragging on for too long. They need to kind of get over this. I loved everything about this season. From the beginning of the season, where you have Diaz with Hobbs at gunpoint, and you kind of to the point where you have that finale, the season finale going on. It's just such an intense ride. I like the fact that this show goes into the more gay territory versus just lesbianism. Lesbianism? Why did I make that sound like a cult? Versus just how everyone's a lesbian. I like how they went into the more gay side of things. Also, I'm totally gonna die. But I loved that. I love the fact that they kind of show, and you have these moments with the guards who have been taking hostages, are now taken hostage. They kind of see how fucked up everything is, and how how broken the society, the system they have in place is, because they're being forced to endure it from the eyes of a prisoner. You have like this whole argument of what do we do with our mentally disabled or mentally ill when things go wrong. You have characters like Lola who is mentally ill, saying there's nothing wrong with us, we need to take back like our lives. And then you have characters like Crazy Eyes who is so dependent on her medication that she needs them to just stay close to sane. And you have these two characters who, while they don't experience the same thing, they go through the same trials and experience very different hells because of it. Like, there was so much that the season did right, and I loved it. You have that whole, you have a lot, and the other thing I really loved about the season is that it was, I think, one of the only seasons that kind of like bring back and kind of talk about past characters like really heavily. Like Pusey Washington is a huge character in this season, even though she's dead. Like her memory and her honor and all that is a very big factor in this season. You have characters, you have Porn Stash making a comeback and being referenced, and even Cammy coming back for a quick cameo, which I thought was really fun. Like, and while the likelihood of people not knowing who Porn Stash is, if they are watching season 5, like at this point, is probably pretty low. You don't watch 5 seasons if you don't care about the show. You don't watch season 5 if you don't care about the show. But I love the fact that they brought him back. I love the fact that they brought, in a small way, they brought back Diaz's baby daddy. Like, I loved that. I loved all the references. I love the fact that Diaz actually starts making art again. She wants to kind of like blow off steam and gets away from it, so she starts making art again, and it's this beautiful piece that shows that she's still not over her baby daddy. She's not over everything that's happened, and nor should she. There's so much that this season does right, and I love it. I loved it so much. And I have to talk about Red, because Red is one of the characters in this season where, like Alex and like Piper, she is kind of put to the background a little bit. But by the end of the season, you have these characters taking the forefront again. I liked it a lot because it really shows how everything in this prison is connected. The way that a large part of the season is kind of laid out is that everyone is kind of doing their own thing. That no one's really talking to each other. No one's trying to kind of come together for this common goal type thing. Everyone has their own agenda in this riot, but that doesn't mean that anything that anyone does outside of the riot is like inside of the riot is exclusive from the other members of the events. You have things like Frida's underground bunker heavily impacting Red's storyline, and you have Matias and her friend's storyline being so detrimental to Piper's storyline, and you have all these things that have just kind of come together in ways that you didn't think that they would, or didn't think that they'd be able to connect, but they do, and I loved it. I loved how, because they took it like this, there wasn't anything that seemed like throwaway or just throwaway-y. What? That's not even a fucking word. It wasn't anything that just seemed like it was there for fluff. Everything seemed important. Everything seemed to matter because they connected everything. My biggest complaint, I think, is how they treat Sophia and Sophia's character. And I know that the way that this went down is likelihood due to the actress having her own show and a separate deal kind of going on. And I get that, but to kind of have Sophia be there for really just like 4 episodes, and it's not a spoiler because she doesn't get killed or anything. But just to have her kind of like leave so suddenly, not really, and then to kind of just be like, yeah, she's gone now and everything's cool. I don't know, it just seems so rushed. So, oh, okay, I guess we don't need you anymore in this scenario. I don't know, there's a part of it that just kind of felt out of place, you know? Like, she gives her reasons. I'm not gonna spoil those, but like there's a reason why she's like up and gone so quick, but it just doesn't make sense. And if anything, that is the one thing that is kind of fluffy, even because they even say like, oh yeah, like that was kind of pointless for you to do that type deal. But like, I love the fact that they answer that question. Like, there was so much that the show did right. I loved it. I love that they also take time to focus on Diaz's mother, even though she is out of the prison now and she's not involved with the prison anymore. They take that time to kind of like curate and like care for her, which I thought was really good. All in all, I loved this season. It was a really fun season, and now I'm gonna get into spoilers. And really, when I talk about spoilers, it's gonna be like really fucking quick. It's not gonna be like, here's the entire list of spoilers, because I want this show, like I want you guys to watch the season because it's fucking awesome. But let's talk about season 5. Let's talk about the finale. The finale kind of ends with, the beginning of the end of the finale is with Jefferson. Jefferson, no, not Jefferson. Actually, yeah, Tasty Jefferson. So yeah, kind of. So with Tasty, being the lead negotiator for the prison in reference to the hostages and to everything. And she is given a deal where pretty much she's given everything except for C.O. Bailey's head on a platter, basically. They want C.O. Bailey to suffer for his crimes. And so they are given everything but that. And Tasty says it's not enough. I need to have that as well. I need to have justice for Poussey. And so she doesn't take this golden deal, and in results, the prisoners are escaped by another storyline with whose name I fucking forget because I'm a garbage person. But all the prisoners escape, and with the prisoners without the guards there as the hostages, they now have no reason not to storm the prison, and they do. And storming the prison, they take everyone out. You see that the raiders, or the stormers, or whatever the fuck they're actually called, the SWAT team, that's what they're called, they don't give a shit about the people inside the prison, and they are cruel, and they are mean, and they are every bit as nightmarish and as sadistic as the guards were, and as Piscatella was. So as they're storming the prison, you have Piper Nichols, Red, Frida, Alex, the one Hispanic chick that always smells and doesn't speak a lot of English because I can't fucking remember her name. Crazy Eyes, Tasty's bigger friend, and I think this one other person. Frida, and there's Frida. Frida's also there. You have all these characters in the underground bunker, and as they're doing the counts, they can't seem to find these characters, these like 8 characters, because they don't know where they are. They don't understand how they've disappeared. No one's used the pool for such a long time. The pool has kind of been forgotten, which has allowed it to become this underground bunker. And so what ends up happening is this scenario where the SWAT team has been given the clearance for casualties. If casualties happen, the governor is now okay with it. And Piscatella, who has gone inside of the prison during the raid and has been tied up and kind of told that you have become a monster, and this place, Reddy has this beautiful monologue, and I need to stop there, I don't mean to do this. Red has this beautiful monologue where she goes, you know, this place robs me of my humanity. It has taken every part of me away, and I am bit by bit trying to take back that humanity that this place has taken from me. And what you end up getting is this beautiful moment where she gives Piscatella a beer, and she's like, and I'm trying to do the human thing by offering you a drink. So just take the drink. And he doesn't take the drink, and she goes, look, I'm gonna let you walk. Quote quick backstory. She has started this big crusade to get justice because of Pescatella and his crimes against the prison. And she has lured him in here, and she's done all these things to really just fuck over Pescatella. And so for all this redemption arc to come from her is quite beautiful. Beautiful. If I'm honest. So she's going on about how she needs, like, she's gonna give him that redemption. In her eyes, he's forgiven. And so she goes, you're gonna walk out of here on your own volition because I'm done with you. And there's this moment where she goes, you're not going to touch anyone, you're not going to touch anything. And he walks out of there, and as he's walking out, he comes in contact with the guards, and he's telling the guards as he's walking out, hey, everything's okay. They're not, he's in the process of saying, hey guys, and he gets shot in the head. And the way it's kind of treated is, oh, he got in the way of my bullets. And then it cuts to all the other characters, and they are being divvied up, and they're being put on different buses because they are not being allowed to stay at Lynchfield anymore. One of the guards even says, the guards even says, did you think you were going to be able to stay after all this shit? So they have the order to kill. They don't care about these characters, and you see a lot of the characters being separated from what has essentially become their partners in the prison. You see Matsuya and her bestie gets separated, and she starts crying, and she says, you know, I love you, don't forget about me. And her friend goes, I love you too. And then they get separated, and at this point I'm like, oh my god, this is beautiful. Like, I didn't even care what happened to these bitches, but this is beautiful. And so you go back to the bunker, and Piper goes, well, what do we do now? What do we do? And you end up seeing, and what ends up happening is Red picks everyone up, and she stands in this line, she holds everyone's hands, she goes, we keep our dignity. If nothing else, we keep our dignity. And the door gets busted in, it gets bombed off, and
Team deathmatch.
You see that it has become this fight. It has become this, like, take down everything. And so the door explodes off. The line of all the characters in the bunker, of Tasty, of Crazy Eyes, of Piper, of Frida, of Alex, of Tasty's bigger friend, of the one Hispanic chick that never showers because she doesn't like to be touched, of Frida. You see all these characters kind of like take a step back, and then because they're shocked that the door's just been bombed off, and you see that they take that step forward, and they hold their line, and before the first SWAT member can come in, they cut to orange, and that's the end of the season. And as a tease for the next season, it is done beautifully. I am so excited for season 6. And I am very, well, they could go in one of two ways with this, in all honesty. They could kill everyone inside the bunker, and because they have kind of transformed the show into this more ensemble piece, they can kill everyone in the bunker and the show could be largely unaffected. However, what I think they're going to go with is, I think that they're going to make this much more about these bunker characters, the characters who in the bunker, because for all intents and purposes, they are our main characters. They are the characters that had the most effect on the season. They are the characters that kind of gave the season the direction it needed, with the exception of a couple of other Hispanic characters whose names I'm currently forgetting. Even though I'm Hispanic, so I can't be racist. Please leave me alone. You know, you have these, so you have all these, like, these big players in this one place, and what I think they're going to end up doing in Season 6 is they're going to be centered on these bunker characters. On these characters that just, for the most part, with the exception of Jefferson, of Tasty, just wanted to stay out of it. They didn't want to be near it. They didn't want to take part in this. So I think that's going to be a much smarter decision, being that they've kind of chopped everyone up and kind of thrown them all in different prisons. I think it might be the smarter decision. I think it's going to be also the better decision just for the show, but with just a lot more cuts over to other groups, because honestly I'd want to see that. I'd want to see them continue to keep telling the other character's story. I just think it's going to be smarter that they focus on these bunker characters. But Season 5 was a very intense season. You have characters like Lola coming to grips that she is crazy and she is pregnant. You have characters like Nichols, who has this beautiful monologue about love and how drugs aren't worth it because you end up falling in love. And you have just these beautiful fucking like pieces, and I don't know. I think with everything that this season put out, I think it's another amazing season for the show. I think it's another great example of Netflix, like when they take their time and they put their like passion behind a project, showing that they can fucking make gold. But I don't have anything else to add. If you guys watched Season 5, if you guys thought it was shit, let me know in the comment section down below. Let me know your opinions about everything that I've talked about in the comment section down below. And if there's any other Netflix originals that I should be watching, let me know. Let me know so I can review those as well. Thank you guys for watching. My name is Insane Raven, and I will see you guys in my next video.